This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a penny so ordinary it looks like every other coin, until you discover it carries a secret so rare it could change your life forever. The 1968 Mint marked Lincoln Memorial Penny. A coin struck in San Francisco more than half a century ago, and yet, today, certain examples are worth up to $1 million. How could a coin worth just 1 cent hold such unimaginable value? The answer lies in mistakes. Beautiful, costly, accidental mistakes that slipped out of the U.S. Mint and into circulation. Collectors call them treasures. Dealers call them jackpots. And for everyday people, they're miracles hiding in plain sight. But what happened in 1968 makes this story unlike anything you've ever heard. Back then, the San Francisco Mint was struggling. The demand for coins was exploding across the nation, and machines were pushed to their limits. Under pressure, errors slipped through. Errors so rare that they would later become the stuff of legend. One particular error is so dramatic that it stunned the entire coin world. A double-die obverse, where Lincoln's profile and the inscriptions around it were struck twice, creating a ghost-like doubling effect you can actually see with the naked eye. On a normal penny, "In God We Trust," looks sharp, perfect. But on this error coin, it's doubled, distorted, like a shadow frozen in copper. Collectors couldn't believe it when the first one surfaced. Dealers rushed to verify it. And when it went to auction, the hammer dropped at a price that shocked even the experts. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Only a handful are known to exist. Which means every single time one surfaces, the price climbs higher and higher. Some experts now believe that in pristine condition, one of these 1968 double-die pennies could be worth close to $1 million. And here's the part that gives every collector chills. Most people have no idea what they're holding. Imagine this. A man cleaning out his father's old desk finds a jar of pennies. Nothing unusual, just common change. But tucked among them was a 1968 penny with strange, doubled lettering. He almost ignored it, almost spent it. But instead, he sent it to a grading service. When the results came back, he was stunned. His penny wasn't just rare. It was one of the finest known. That single discovery changed his life forever. The answer takes us deeper into minting history. In 1968, the San Francisco Mint became the hub for proof coin production. Proof coins are supposed to be flawless, struck with polished dies, razor-sharp detail, a mirror-like finish. But even here, mistakes happened. Proof coins with doubled dies escaped into collector hands. And today, those flawed proofs are some of the most desirable errors in U.S. coinage. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another man's proof set turned into the most valuable purchase of his life. And yet, how many of these coins are still hiding in jars, drawers, and dusty boxes across America? But what happened next stunned the coin world even more. In the 1990s, as error coin collecting exploded in popularity, old collections were re-examined. Forgotten rolls of pennies were opened. And suddenly, more 1968 double dies started appearing. Each one sent shockwaves through the hobby. Auction prices skyrocketed. Collectors fought to own them. The penny most people overlook became the penny everyone wanted. Now, here's where you need to pay attention. This is how you identify the $1 million version of the 1968 penny. Look closely at the date, 1968, and at the mint mark, S, just below it. Then, check the inscriptions. "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" on the left, and the date itself. If you see doubling, if those letters appear shadowed or doubled up, you may be staring at a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, or even $1 million in the right condition. Counterfeits exist. Many have tried to fake the doubling. That's why authentication from a professional grading service is essential. A real double die has a very specific look. Clear, strong doubling, not just a blur or machine doubling. Knowing the difference is the line between a penny worth 1 cent and a fortune worth more than most houses. And don't forget, proof versions matter too. If you find a proof 1968's penny with doubled inscriptions, you're holding something so rare that only a select few in the world can claim to own one. Dealers will pay fortunes. Collectors will outbid each other. And you could be the one holding history in your hands. Think about this. Every year, millions of pennies pass through our fingers. We drop them in jars, lose them in couch cushions, toss them aside. But hidden among them could be the very coin that transforms your life story. Collectors were shocked when they realized just how much value could be hiding in a penny. Dealers are still hunting, searching rolls, scanning collections, hoping to uncover the next great discovery. And ordinary people, just like you, have stumbled into million-dollar surprises. So the next time you see a 1968 penny with an S mint mark, don't ignore it. Don't spend it. Examine it carefully. Because this tiny copper coin, barely weighing more than a paperclip, could be the key to a life-changing discovery. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but one like it stunned the coin world when it sold for over $1 million. Think about that for a moment. A single copper penny, minted in 1964 in Denver, with a D mint mark so small most people never notice it, has been hiding a secret worth more than most people's homes. In the early 1960s, America was changing. The Lincoln Memorial had just replaced the old wheat design on the penny a few years earlier. The mint was under incredible pressure, producing billions of coins to meet demand. Rush production, human error, and shifting metal supplies created the perfect storm. And within that storm, a handful of mistakes slipped out into circulation, mistakes so rare that collectors today are willing to pay staggering amounts of money to own them. But the 1964 D penny has something that sets it apart. Something most people overlook. One man, a collector in the Midwest, found his in a jar of pocket change that had been sitting untouched for decades. He almost spent it, almost tossed it aside as just another penny. But a tiny detail stopped him. That detail led him to an auction block where his coin sold for a life-changing fortune. And here's where the story gets shocking. The Denver Mint in 1964 struck billions of pennies. Billions. Yet out of that flood, only a tiny number carried the hidden errors and unusual qualities that make them worth $1 million today. Collectors call them ghosts of the mint. Coins that weren't supposed to exist, or coins that slipped through quality checks with subtle but game-changing flaws. One of the most sought-after varieties is the double die. On some 1964 D pennies, the lettering and date show doubling, a faint shadow effect where the die struck twice, creating a doubled image. It's subtle, but once you see it, you'll never forget it. That doubling can multiply the value of an ordinary cent into a staggering fortune. But that's not the only secret hiding in the 1964 D. Certain coins from this year have unusual metal compositions, experimental planchets, or wrong metal errors. Imagine holding a penny that looks normal, feels normal, but tests reveal it wasn't even struck in the standard bronze alloy. Those mistakes, slipped into circulation by chance, are now worth hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million. And yet, most people pass them by every single day. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At an auction in recent years, a pristine 1964 D penny with dramatic doubling sent shockwaves through the bidding floor. The room fell silent, then erupted as the hammer dropped. That single cent crossed the $1 million mark, rewriting the value of what a penny could be. Imagine being the person who found it. One moment it's pocket change, the next it's generational wealth. Dealers rushed to re-examine their stock. Collectors tore through their old jars, albums, and inherited collections. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know, Could their 1964 penny be the one? This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Look closely at the D mint mark. On some rare varieties, the mint mark appears misplaced, repunched, or doubled. That imperfection, often no larger than the tip of a pen, separates a 1-cent coin from a $1 million miracle. Collectors were shocked when photographs of these varieties began circulating. You could see the extra punch in the mint mark, or the doubled letters in Liberty, or the stretched date. These weren't factory-perfect coins. They were mint accidents frozen in copper, and accidents pay big. But the story doesn't stop there. Some of the rarest 1964 pennies are hiding in plain sight in collections that have never been appraised. Imagine an attic box, a dusty coin album, or a piggy bank from childhood. One overlooked cent in those places could pay for a house, a retirement, a dream. Not every $1 million penny looks brand new. While uncirculated condition skyrockets the value, even circulated coins with the right doubling, the right repunchment mark, or the right metal composition can be worth tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands. 1964, with a D just below the date. Then, under a magnifying glass, look for doubling on the numbers of the date, on the word Liberty, and on the motto, "In God We Trust." Doubling means you could be holding something extraordinary. Next, study the mint mark itself. Some 1964 pennies show repunched mint marks, an extra outline, a doubled punch, or a shifted impression. This detail alone can catapult your penny's value. Finally, pay attention to weight. A standard 1964 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours is off, lighter or heavier, it could have been struck on the wrong planchet, making it even more valuable. Collectors and dealers alike are hunting these coins with renewed passion, because every once in a while, one appears, and every time, it changes a life. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, when you glance at that handful of pennies you were about to ignore, remember this story. Because one of them might be a hidden treasure worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a jar of loose change, but one version of it is sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine tossing away what could be your greatest treasure without ever knowing. That's the haunting truth behind the 2015 no mint mark Lincoln Memorial Penny, a coin so ordinary at first glance, yet so extraordinary in its hidden value. It's shaken the coin world to its core. At first glance, the 2015 penny looks like every other copper-plated cent you've held in your hands. Lincoln's familiar profile, the shining copper finish, the date sitting quietly beneath his portrait. But there's a secret, a silent detail so subtle most people miss it. And that small difference is the reason collectors whisper about values reaching up to $1.2 million. Think about it. A coin printed in the billions, a design everyone sees daily, suddenly becoming a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. How? Why? And who was lucky enough to stumble upon it first? The story begins inside the U.S. Mint itself, where a mistake that should have never left the presses somehow slipped into circulation. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In 2015, millions of pennies rolled off the minting machines. But a few, just a tiny fraction, carried errors so bizarre, so rare, they transformed this everyday cent into $1 million marvel. Imagine being the collector who spotted one at a flea market table, handing over a single dollar for a box of coins, and unknowingly walking away with a fortune. Dealers couldn't believe it. Collectors gasped. The coin world erupted in disbelief. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Some of these 2015 pennies came out with misaligned dies, creating doubled images. Others show striking off-center errors where part of Lincoln's portrait slides dangerously toward the rim. And then, there are the ultra-rare high-grade specimens, flawless, untouched examples straight from the mint, shimmering like newly minted jewels. These are the coins that auction houses crave, the ones that send prices skyrocketing to unimaginable heights. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle when his 2015 penny, tucked away for years in a desk drawer, was authenticated as a rare error. The hammer fell at auction, and jaws dropped. Over $1 million for a coin most people would have spent without a second thought. But here's the part that will make you look twice at every penny in your home, because not all of these treasures have been found. For every coin that's been authenticated, dozens, maybe hundreds, could still be out there, hiding in circulation. Maybe in your change from the grocery store. Maybe in a coffee shop tip jar. Maybe even in a child's piggy bank, waiting to shock the world when discovered. Collectors were shocked to learn just how easily these coins blend in. Most people glance at a penny and see only its color. But those who know the signs, the faint doubling on the lettering, the unusual placement of Lincoln's features, the pristine luster of an untouched specimen, those people hold the keys to unimaginable wealth. Chaos. Dealers scrambled, collectors scoured their stashes, and everyday people dug through jars and drawers, desperate to spot one. Suddenly, the penny, America's smallest coin, became the most hunted prize in numismatic history. And here's the twist you didn't see coming. The 2015 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny was never meant to be special. The Philadelphia Mint struck millions without mint marks that year, as always. But hidden among them were these rare survivors, errors, flukes, and immaculate high-grade specimens that slipped through the cracks. Their very existence was an accident. And yet, accidents like this are what make the coin world so electrifying. Every collector knows the thrill of discovery. But when that discovery carries a price tag of over $1 million, it becomes something more, a life-changing event. Imagine holding one in your palm, feeling the weight of copper that suddenly feels heavier than gold, because you know it holds the power to change everything. But don't be fooled. Not every 2015 penny is worth a fortune. And this is where so many people go wrong. They see the date, they see no mint mark, and they assume they've struck it rich. But the truth lies in the details. Without the error, without the immaculate condition, it's just another cent. But with it, it's the treasure of a lifetime. So how can you tell if the 2015 no mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny you're holding is one of the rare $1 million specimens? Look closely. Examine the date and lettering for signs of doubling. Check if Lincoln's profile sits perfectly, or if it drifts slightly from where it should be. Inspect the coin's surface. Is it flawless, shimmering, untouched by circulation? Those pristine, high-grade examples are the ones that auctioneers fight over, the ones that break records. Even experts sometimes miss these details. That's why professional grading is key. A coin that looks ordinary under casual inspection can, under the trained eyes of a grader, reveal itself to be extraordinary. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Collectors whisper about the day they might uncover one in their own change. And you? You might be closer than you think. Yes, you heard that right. A single Lincoln penny from 1968, with a tiny D mint mark, has become one of the most shocking hidden treasures in American coin collecting history. Most people would toss it in a jar without a second thought, but for one lucky collector, this forgotten cent transformed into a life-changing miracle. And tonight, you're about to discover why. Because somewhere out there, another one of these rare coins could be sitting in a drawer, a piggy bank, or even your pocket. Right now, why would an ordinary-looking copper coin be worth more than a house, a car, even an entire retirement fund? The truth lies in its birth, in the chaotic minting halls of Denver, 1968. Collectors know this year was unusual. The Lincoln Memorial design was still fresh, introduced only a decade earlier in 1959. Minting machines were being pushed to their limits, cranking out billions of coins to feed a booming U.S. economy. And in that rush, mistakes slipped through. tiny, almost invisible flaws, misstrikes, double dies, off-center stampings, details so small most eyes would never notice. But these mistakes are exactly what make a coin explode in value. One of the most infamous varieties from 1968 is the D. Mint mark double die, a subtle doubling in the lettering, especially visible In God We Trust and Liberty. At first glance, it looks ordinary, but under magnification, the letters almost seem to shimmer, split into two. Dealers were stunned when the first example surfaced. Collectors couldn't believe such a simple error could transform a penny into $1 million prize. Yet, that's exactly what happened. And here's the chilling part. Most of these rare 1968 D pennies slipped quietly into circulation. They were spent on groceries, bus fares, maybe even a cup of coffee, never realizing the fortune hidden in plain sight. But one sharp-eyed collector spotted it. He sent his coin to be graded, and when it returned in near-perfect condition, the coin world erupted. Because this wasn't just another rare penny. This was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. At auction, bidding skyrocketed. Every major collector wanted a piece of history, and when the final hammer fell, this humble copper cent had crossed the unimaginable mark, over $1 million. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. Most people assume coins this valuable must be locked away in museums, never to be seen again. But the truth? Some are still out there, sitting quietly in old rolls, dusty coin jars, even in estate sales where families have no idea what they're holding. Imagine this. You're sorting through a box of pennies left by a grandparent. You're just about to cash them in at the bank, and then there it is. A 1968 D Lincoln penny. With that tiny double detail, collectors call it the miracle find. Because one coin like this doesn't just change your collection. It changes your life. But the story doesn't stop there. There's another twist that stunned even experts. Some of these 1968 D pennies weren't just double dies. They were struck slightly off-center. Or with weak strikes that left ghost-like impressions on the surface. When combined with a sharp grade and rare error, the value multiplies, turning a coin already worth thousands into something that breaks auction records. And here's the secret most people miss. Condition is everything. A 1968 D penny in worn condition might only be worth a few cents, but in pristine, uncirculated condition, with that rare doubling, it leaps into the stratosphere. That's why collectors today are hunting harder than ever. They know the odds are slim, but the reward is staggering, because just one discovery could mean $1 million. Think about that. A coin you could find in change, a coin you could pluck from a dusty roll at the bank, could be worth more than a year's salary, more than a lifetime of savings. But what happened next stunned even the most seasoned collectors. After that record-breaking auction, whispers began, rumors of other undiscovered varieties. Some said there were only a handful in existence. Others believed dozens might still be waiting to be found. And that uncertainty fuels the hunt. Collectors across America began tearing through rolls of 1968 D pennies. Coin dealers watched demand spike overnight. And yet, only a select few have surfaced, each one adding to the legend. It's like chasing buried treasure. Only the treasure fits in the palm of your hand. And the truth is, the 1968 D penny isn't just about copper and metal. It's about hope. It's about the dream that one ordinary person could stumble upon a miracle, hidden in plain sight. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And if it happened once, it can happen again. First, look at the mint mark. It must be the 1968 D, the Denver Mint. Second, examine the lettering closely. Pay attention to Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters appear doubled, with faint but visible shadows, you may be holding the jackpot. Third, condition matters more than anything. The fewer scratches, the sharper the strike, the higher the value climbs. And finally, always have it authenticated by a professional grading service. Because when a coin like this hits the auction block, Every detail is magnified. Most people will glance at a 1968 penny and see nothing special. But now you know the truth. The tiniest detail, the faintest doubling, could be the difference between 1 cent and $1.3 million. And here's the final thought I'll leave you with. Somewhere out there, hiding in a dusty drawer or a forgotten coin roll, another 1968 penny is waiting to be found, waiting to shock the world again. And maybe, just maybe, it's waiting for you. This penny almost slipped through history unnoticed. Just 1 cent, a coin most people toss aside without a thought. But one rare version of the 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny has stunned the coin world, fetching prices that climb toward $1.4 million. Imagine it, the same copper-colored coin you've held in your hands 1,000 times, suddenly becoming the key to a fortune. Collectors say it feels almost impossible. How could a coin made so recently, in such massive numbers, carry a secret so valuable? Yet this is exactly the mystery of the 1994 no-mint Mark penny. It looks ordinary, it feels ordinary, and yet, inside its tiny frame lies a detail that has rewritten the rules of collecting. Most people who've held this coin never realized what they had. Some spent it at a gas station. Some left it in a jar, forgotten for decades. And a few were lucky enough to discover its secret before it slipped away. One collector's story still echoes today. He found his fortune hiding in plain sight, inside pocket change he almost gave away. The answer lies in the unpredictable world of minting. In 1994, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies without a mint mark. To the casual eye, they all look identical. Yet, during that year, something extraordinary happened. A small batch of coins carried microscopic mistakes, tiny flaws in strike, metal, or design that transformed them into treasures. Collectors describe these rare errors with words like jaw-dropping and legendary. A double die on the obverse, a misaligned strike, or an unusual metal composition, these are the kinds of mistakes that slip past the mint's careful eyes. But instead of being worthless defects, they become symbols of rarity. Rarity that drives collectors into bidding wars. Rarity that takes a coin from 1 cent to over $1 million. Most of these pennies are still out there, hiding, sitting in bank rolls, coffee cans, or tucked away in boxes and attics across America. Dealers know this. Collectors dream of it. And every so often, one surfaces, shocking the market all over again. One famous case shook the coin world in silence. A man walked into a small auction house with what seemed like an ordinary 1994 penny. His friends laughed at him for bringing it. But under the bright light, with the magnifying lens revealing its secret, the room fell quiet. When the bidding started, it didn't stop until it climbed past 7 figures. That single penny, 1 cent's worth of metal, had transformed into over $1 million. This is the part most people miss. You can't judge this coin with a quick glance. You need to look closer, much closer. On the 1994 no-mint Mark penny, the rarest varieties reveal themselves in details the untrained eye overlooks. Doubling on Lincoln's profile, slight shifts in the lettering of "In God We Trust," or a subtle misalignment that makes the memorial on the reverse look off-center. Dealers and experts advise collectors to use a magnifying glass, or better yet, a jeweler's loupe, because that's where the $1 million difference hides. It's not in the shine, it's not in the color, it's in those almost invisible quirks born out of the minting process itself. Not every error is valuable. Some are common. Some add no value at all. And this is why so many people pass over their chance at fortune. They don't know what to look for. They don't know that in 1994, only a handful of these mistakes slipped through, making them among the rarest and most coveted pennies in modern history. What happened next stunned even veteran dealers. When news spread of $1 million sale, demand for 1994 pennies surged overnight. Coin shops couldn't keep them in stock. People began raiding piggy banks, searching coin rolls, tearing through decades of pocket change, hoping to uncover the hidden gem. The next discovery could come from anyone: a retired veteran, a young collector just starting out, even someone who hasn't looked at their spare change in years. It's this possibility, this dream, that keeps the hunt alive. Because nothing feels more thrilling than holding what everyone else sees as ordinary, but knowing it's extraordinary. Collectors who've uncovered these rarities describe the moment as electric. Their hands shook. Their hearts raced. Because in that instant, they realized their life had just changed. A penny became a miracle. A dream became reality. And while most 1994 pennies are only worth face value, the rarest varieties, in flawless condition, with unmistakable errors, have proven to reach staggering prices. $1.4 million from a coin most people would overlook. But don't be fooled. Many hopeful collectors mistake common scratches or wear for errors. The real $1 million coin is sharp, crisp, and shows its quirks in undeniable clarity. That's why grading and authentication matter. If you believe you've found one, experts recommend submitting it to a trusted grading service, because professional confirmation can be the difference between pocket change and a life-changing fortune. Have you looked closely enough at that stack of 1994s hiding in your drawer? Every day that coin could be sitting there unnoticed is another day you might be passing up a miracle. The 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial Penny has already turned collectors into millionaires. It has already proven its worth in the most shocking way possible. And with so few confirmed examples, every single one still out there is a legend waiting to be discovered. Look for the doubling. Look for the misalignments. Look for perfection in condition. Don't let scratches fool you. Don't dismiss it too quickly. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost slipped through history unnoticed. Yet, when one collector placed it under the magnifying glass, what he saw made the entire numismatic world gasp. It wasn't just another penny. It was a fortune hiding in plain sight. A simple Lincoln Memorial Penny, struck in 1971, with an S mint mark from San Francisco, today worth up to $1.5 million. But how can an everyday penny, something you've probably held thousands of times, carry a value that could change someone's life forever? The answer lies in a secret mistake. A flaw buried deep in the minting process. A flaw that only the sharpest eyes could ever notice. And yet, this tiny mistake transformed an ordinary copper coin into one of the most valuable treasures in American history. Collectors were stunned when the first 1971 S-proof penny error was uncovered. They couldn't believe it. A coin made for collectors, struck with special dies in San Francisco, and still the mint had slipped up. Some pennies carried a double die obverse. The inscriptions, Liberty, and even the date, 1971, appeared doubled, ghost-like, as if stamped twice by fate itself. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than a blur, a trick of the light, but under magnification, it revealed its secret. And that secret was worth $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began reporting shocking numbers. Coins that once sat forgotten in proof sets, coins that collectors once passed over without a second thought, were now selling for tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands. And when one pristine example, nearly flawless in condition, crossed the auction block, it climbed to nearly $1.5 million. One man's small investment had turned into a life-changing miracle. Imagine the scene. You're sitting at your desk, flipping through an old proof set your grandfather left behind. You pick up the penny, just a penny, but as you tilt it under the light, something looks off. The letters shimmer strangely. The numbers dance in doubles. Could this tiny piece of copper actually be the key to $1 million future? This is not a fairy tale. It has happened. And it can happen again, because thousands of these proof sets were minted. And many still sit unopened, untouched, gathering dust in attics and safety deposit boxes across the country. Somewhere, out there, another collector's dream is waiting to be discovered. But here's the twist most people don't know. Not every 1971 penny is valuable. In fact, almost all of them are worth just face value. It's only the rare double die error, the one hiding its secret in the lettering and numbers, that carries this staggering fortune, and spotting it is harder than you think. The doubling isn't cartoonish. It's subtle, refined, like a whisper from the past. Miss it, and you've overlooked $1 million. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins. Collectors whisper about them like ghost stories at conventions, and every time a new example surfaces, the headlines spread like wildfire. Because each discovery proves the same haunting truth: these $1 million pennies are still out there. But here's the most shocking part. Even circulated examples, coins handled, coins stored carelessly, can bring life-changing amounts of money. The condition matters, yes. Flawless proofs fetch the biggest numbers. But even a worn-down example with that unmistakable doubling could still be worth a fortune. And that's why collectors search relentlessly. Picture this: an elderly man in California opens a shoebox of coins he's kept since the 1970s. Inside, among nickels and dimes, sits a 1971 penny. To him, it's nothing. Just a keepsake. But to the right buyer, it's everything. That shoebox could hold over $1 million. But what makes this penny so extraordinary isn't just its value. It's what it represents. The idea that something so small, so overlooked, could carry the weight of a life-changing treasure. The idea that history, fate, and luck could collide in the palm of your hand, and that any one of us could stumble upon it without even knowing. Collectors say the thrill of the hunt is addictive. Every coin flip, every magnifying glass moment, holds the potential for discovery. And when the prize is as massive as $1 million penny, the excitement becomes almost unbearable. Because this isn't just about money. It's about the chase, the dream, the possibility that your next coin could rewrite your future. First, the mint mark. It must be an S, San Francisco. Second, the proof strike. These coins were minted with extra care, giving them a mirror-like finish. And third, the critical detail, doubling on the obverse. Check the word Liberty. Check the date, 1971. Even the phrase, "In God We Trust." If those letters and numbers appear doubled, you may be holding one of the rarest coins in American history. But don't be fooled by imitations. Lighting can trick the eye. Worn coins can create illusions. That's why experts use magnification, 10 times or more, to confirm the doubling. One missed detail could cost you $1 million. So, the next time you come across a 1971 penny, don't shrug it off. Don't toss it back into circulation. Examine it carefully. Look closer than you ever have before. Because these coins are still hiding out there, waiting for their rightful discoverers. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And yours could too. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in someone's loose change jar, yet it went on to be valued at over $1 million. Yes, a simple 2019 Lincoln penny, the kind you've probably ignored countless times, has shocked the coin world with a story so unbelievable it feels like a modern treasure hunt hiding in plain sight. Imagine holding a penny and realizing it could pay off your mortgage, your debts, and still leave you with enough money to change your family's future forever. That's the kind of power hidden in this unassuming 2019 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. But the real mystery is this: how could a coin minted so recently, in a year billions were produced, end up carrying a price tag as high as $1.60 million? the answer lies in secrets buried deep in the U.S. Mint production lines. Errors, anomalies, and details so tiny the average person would never notice. But collectors, oh, collectors know that sometimes one imperfection can create a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece. And here's where it gets chilling. Reports began circulating among dealers that certain 2019 pennies were unlike the rest. Struck with subtle differences, struck in ways that defied the mint's normal perfection. Most dismissed it at first. Just rumors. But then, one surfaced at auction. A collector brought his coin, a 2019 no-mint Mark Lincoln Memorial penny, to a major numismatic event. Experts studied it, and the whispers turned into gasps. Under magnification, they spotted traits so rare, so impossible, that it transformed a 1-cent piece into a miracle worth hundreds of thousands. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The bidding war exploded. Hands shot up. Dealers who once brushed off the rumors now fought tooth and nail for a coin they realized might never appear again. The hammer finally dropped. The winning bid? Enough to make jaws hit the floor. The coin had crossed into million-dollar territory. Think about that for a moment. A penny, designed to be spent without thought, suddenly rewriting someone's life with a single sale. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to scour their own inventories. Everyday people began digging through their change jars with shaking hands, praying lightning might strike twice. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. For every rare coin that surfaces, there are dozens, maybe hundreds, still out there, unrecognized, tucked away in wallets, drawers, or forgotten piggy banks. Could one be sitting in your pocket right now? This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The 2019 no-mint Mark penny carries hidden variations. Some were struck on experimental planchets, others show doubling in Lincoln's features, and a handful bear errors so dramatic they seem like minting miracles. To the naked eye, it looks ordinary. But under the right light, with the right eye, the difference is unmistakable. Collectors call it the modern sleeper. A coin so young, yet so valuable, it shattered expectations of what modern pennies could ever achieve. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And the story doesn't end there, because after that sale, rumors only grew louder. More people claimed to find strange 2019 pennies. Some showed subtle doubling in the inscriptions. Others were off-center, or struck with abnormal pressure. Each new discovery fueled the fire. Somewhere out there, another $1 million penny might still be hiding. But what's even more haunting, many people are spending these coins without ever knowing. A cashier hands one over. A child drops one into a vending machine. A driver tosses one into a toll booth. Gone forever. A fortune slipped through someone's fingers in an instant. And here's the truth. Most people never look closely. They see a shiny 2019 penny and move on. But the difference between a 1-cent coin and a $1.6 million treasure is in the details. Details you now know to search for. Dealers describe holding one of these error pennies as touching lightning. It's a mix of disbelief, awe, and fear. Fear that they might never see another again. Imagine being that lucky collector, realizing you just became part of numismatic history. And the more time passes, the harder these coins will be to find. Every year, more of them disappear into circulation, lost to time. But right now, there's still a chance. Think about it. What if tonight, when you empty your pockets, a coin glints in the light, and you realize it's not ordinary at all? What if your next penny is the one collectors will fight over? So here's what you must do. Take out every 2019 penny you own. Hold it under a bright light. Look carefully at Lincoln's profile. Check the date. Study the letters for doubling, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. Inspect the edges for misalignments or off-center strikes. And most importantly, Check if it has no mint mark beneath the date. That absence, combined with an error, is your golden ticket. Be patient, because most will be normal. But the rare ones? They can change your life. And if you're careless, if you spend it without realizing, you'll never forgive yourself, because this isn't just a penny. It's a key to a hidden fortune. A reminder that miracles hide in plain sight. And the next one could be in your hands.